Theresa Barron, and today on the Real Tea Talk, we are going to get into how you can just get yourself free, or whatever your purpose was for getting into real estate. We want to give you some real tea about how we leave corporate America or whatever job situation we might be in, and figure out how do we make this thing work full-time, permanent, and really get what we came for. So today I'm bringing a real live example on. She is someone who started in real estate in 2019. I've known her for a lot longer than that, and just in a whole different world when she was just recently graduating from her collegiate experience. We've traveled together, so that's another whole story. But just suffice it to say that I know her very well. And her life has been a bit of a journey over the last 10 years, just going from, a college student to, a professional working person to, owning her own home, to becoming, I won't spoil the rest of it. I'll let her tell you the story. And today let me just give you her name and her information. She is a licensed real estate agent, like I said, who was licensed in 2019, and her name is Aba Essilfie. So let me introduce you, Aba.
Thanks for having me today, Theresa.
I'm so excited to get you here and to share your story, because it's a story full of blessings. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you've had a whole lot, momhood, ownership, getting into some ownership situations. Yeah. So share your story. Tell us what happened.
Yeah. So basically, in 2019, I took my real estate exam. But even before taking my real estate exam, I actually had bought my first property in 2017, and that was 1 year after I got engaged. My husband and I were very intentional about that. We either said that we would have a small wedding or we would buy a house. So we had to choose between the down payment on a home or a small wedding. We decided to invest in our future because we had a good understanding of generational wealth. So we intentionally went ahead and bought our first house in 2017. And then a year later, we went ahead and had actually a big grand wedding with our family from all over the world who came to Columbus, Ohio and celebrated with us. And so it's a really good, it was really actually the best decision we ever made, because that property went from 1 to 3 because of that decision that we made to invest in our future versus just, blowing it on a one-time wedding. We just took our time with everything and just were really intentional about each and every step along the way.
So that speaks to why it's important to get yourself into some real estate, right? But we're talking to agents, it's even more important because they're representing the industry. Right. So there's a lot they can do. And a lot of times they don't understand how to go, they get into real estate and it's just not what they're expecting.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
Yeah. So one thing I tell people is that real estate is nothing like Selling Sunset or whatever TV show that you see out there. I think a lot of times people see people dressed up, selling homes. They think like you show someone a house, they fall in love, they say yes, and then, boom, you get a commission check. And it's really nothing like that. There's a reason why agents really don't even make it past the first year of real estate, because it's very independent work. So the first thing I tell agents when they want to become a real estate agent is that, look, if you really want to do this, you have to understand that once you sign up and you pay for your exams, you have to pay for yearly dues to be a part of the board. Then on top of that, you have to take classes every so often. Then on top of that, you have to manage your schedule. When you work a 9-to-5 job, they give you the training, you come in, you clock out, you schedule your PTO. There's none of that here. You basically have a mentor like Theresa who's going to give you the training of what you need to do, but everything else is 95% on you. What you put into real estate is what you get out. And that's what I always tell people. You don't just show up and show a house. You have to really understand the market, really understand, who you want your audience to be, what you want your financial life to look like. And then on top of that, why are you getting into this in the first place? Besides the money aspect, which is what really draws people to real estate, is how does that money turn into the life that you want? So that's what I tell people is like, you really need to understand and basically give yourself like a 5-year game plan of like, okay, this is where I'm starting, but this is where I'm finished. And then you want someone that can help you get from point A to Z successfully.
Yeah. So we talked about in the last episode, we spoke a lot about, what people need to do or don't do in order, like what are the top 5 reasons, top 5 things you can do to fail? And one is to not have a plan, right? Not to have any accountability, you know, not to keep jumping around from you know, shiny object to shiny object while as they're trying to build their business. Talk to me about how all of that works for you, and how, what should people kind of understand about the agents that are, you know, struggling to try to make it all work, because you know there's a lot of frustration in the market.
Yeah, so there is a lot of frustration because you're just trying to find your place. Like, you know, where do I go? What do I need to do? So I tell people, so for example, like I started off with Take a Look Real Estate. After a couple years, I went to a big box store just to see like how things were on the other side. And then I came back to Take a Look Real Estate. What I found in that process is that the problem isn't really the brokerage. The problem is my personal process of what I'm doing to be successful, right? So the biggest thing that I was not doing is one, you know, marketing correctly to my audience, staying like basically staying on top of my CRM, which if you guys don't know what a CRM is, it's basically a management system for how you keep track of your clients, past, present, and future. That was a big part of my business that needed focus. And I think that's what a lot of agents don't focus on enough, is having that managed, because every person we come in contact with can be a potential client. Maybe not them themselves, but they can be a referral to someone else. I think a lot of people downplay and just kind of just don't keep all of those contacts in one place, which really hinders your business. And then the other thing is execution, having an accountability partner that's going to be like, hey, what is your plan? And then what are you doing to get there? And then not just saying like you come up with your business plan at the beginning of the year, but then having that check-in every month or every few months and being like, hey, this is where you started. Where are you at now? Are you hitting your target? If not, then, you know, what can we do to improve that?
Yeah, the training.
Yes.
And the coaching and the just getting it straight. You also, you know, for your particular circumstance, had some real solid goals that you needed to, you know, it wasn't going to be successful unless you hit these goals. So let's talk about how that whole, because you went from 1 door to 2 doors to 6 doors.
Yeah.
Aba.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got to tell them. Got to spill the tea.
Yeah. So let me tell you. So I told you that I had brought my first property with my husband in 2017. After our wedding, we actually had a child, our first child. So after that, we decided that the house was suddenly too small. So we wanted to get another property and have family move by close to us. So we got a second house that was a little bit bigger now that we had another kid. And then when that same year that we got that house, or I think it was just, everything happened so fast. That same year that we got our bigger house, we also came across an opportunity to own a 4-unit building, which is how we went from 1 to 6. So that 4-unit building was an opportunity located in South Central Columbus, really close to Children's Hospital. And it was too good to pass up. Before I even, you know, before this opportunity came up, I was already researching Airbnb short-term rentals. So I already was building up my arsenal, not knowing that the opportunity was going to present itself that quickly. So I had to do a lot of convincing to my husband. Basically, he is a very analytical person. So I had to show him how the numbers would make sense. And once he saw that, he was all in. So we went all in on that property. And then we turned 3 of those 4 doors into short-term rentals. And it's been really successful, able to self-sustain. And that's a whole different story. Owning a property in itself also requires a 5-year plan, especially when it comes to Airbnb. A lot of people think that you will just have overnight success. That's not the case.
Not the case.
You have to do marketing. You have to do a lot of things that people don't talk about to make sure that your Airbnb is successful, because you are you're in the hospitality business at that moment, and that is its own different game.
Yeah, but it sets you free.
Yes,
it did
absolutely.
Ultimately set you free. And when we get into real estate, we're in real estate not just for the money, because the money sitting in the bank doesn't really mean much of anything.
Yep.
It is, you've got to have a vision of how you want your life to go. And I know everybody gets into it for when they say freedom. Freedom is a catch-all phrase to really mean I want to be able to do what I want to do, with who I want to do it, when I want to do it, the way I want to do it. And I don't really want anybody to be stopping me,
Yeah.
you know, because I got to show up to this 9 to 5. I want to arrange my life
Yep.
so that every single day is a day that I've created.
Yep.
In order to, and for you, it was the family. Right?
Yeah, so I wasn't like trying to own these doors or have these short-term rentals just for the sake of saying like, oh, I have a short-term rental. For me, what I learned very early on is that, okay, I don't have to work 40 hours a week necessarily to have money and to have the lifestyle that I want. So everything that I've been thinking about for the past, I would say 7 years was, how do I get to the point for freedom? What that means to me is that I'm able to be a mom and a wife first, basically put my family first, and then we are able to do what we want when we want without having to ask for PTO. I don't want to worry about calling off because my kids are sick, or I don't want to worry about, do I have enough days left over because I want to take this trip to Puerto Rico or whatever the case may be. I don't want to worry about none of that stuff. So I understand that if I'm able to create passive and residual income, passive not really being passive, but be able to create multiple streams of income, that I can create a life where I can prioritize my family, make the work schedule that I want, and be able to do the things that I enjoy first, and we are still financially covered.
Right. So, but it's work.
Yeah, it's still work.
It's work and it's structure. It's just different work.
Yeah, it's absolutely structured completely differently.
Mm-hmm. So if you're getting into real estate and your whole thought process is that you're going to jump in and just make all this money, and then some generic goal that's out there that's not really measurable or specific, you bring that to, like, it's just a big generic goal. That's not the way you do this. Mm-hmm. It does require that you find yourself in a position of structure, coming up with, your plan, how you're going to manage it. And so, Aba, so tell us what ultimately has happened for you. And the other thing is that the team part, how the support that you get, how important is that?
That's very important. So that's actually one of the reasons I actually came back to the brokerage, because once I realized, like, okay, I'm at this big box store and stuff, I'm using the products that they're saying to use, but things aren't panning out the way that I expected it to. It's like, okay, now I start off with one kid, now I have two kids. So now I have two kids, I have 3 properties, including my home that I'm looking after. And I'm also a hospitality manager on top of this. Then how do I make this all work? So I realized I needed to leverage my time and these deals that I have. So I came back to take a look, because that's something we had already talked about before I had left. And that's what I focused on, was leveraging these deals, because, you want to naturally keep everything to yourself to try to get the full commission and do this and do that. However, it's better to have 4 successful deals that you can split than to have one deal that you're trying to manage by yourself, and then, focusing on that one person, and then you're losing out on the other 3 because you weren't able to leverage any other help to get through all the people that you wanted to get through.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the amount of time it takes to, or how much time you gain when you share, if you've got the right partner, the right business partner.
And I think people don't realize too, if you're not in real estate, is that you don't go and show someone a house and they instantly like it. You can show someone like 20 houses and then they're like, hey, you know what? I still didn't like this, So it actually can be a very time consuming process, which is why it's nice when you can partner up with other people in the brokerage who can help you split up these showings and, niche down what this person is looking for quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Aba, we like to leave everybody with some gems and some things that they can take away. And as we're becoming more, agent centric, even in this realty talk, and we're talking about, this is a business. You got to treat it like a business. And you have to have sort of a mindset of what you want to see happen in your life that you're working towards. What kind of gems? Give us some gems and spill some tea for them so they understand.
Yep, absolutely.
What it is.
I think the biggest thing I would say is, like, whatever you're interested in, whether it's real estate or whatever the subject may be, like, constantly educate yourself, read, watch YouTube, whatever the case is, whatever you're into, research the crap out of that. Because for me, if I hadn't been researching these short-term rentals and how to run a business and how to do these different things out of curiosity, when the opportunity came for me to purchase that property, I would have never made the purchase because I would have been like, I'm not ready. There's still stuff I had to learn to do to get ready for it, but I was already researching things that I was interested in. And for me, it's like, you know, when you're preparing like that in that way, when the opportunity comes for you, you're just gonna be ready for it because you're like, hey, I've already, you know, I already did the footwork. I'm here. Let's get it done. So that's like my biggest thing that I would like to say to people. And I also want to say to people who are parents, moms specifically, is that it is not impossible to do this. There's a reason why the majority of real estate agents are actually women. And that was a stat that I actually found out after I got my license. And I didn't understand it at first, but now that I'm a mom of two, I actually do, because there's not really many jobs like this where you create your schedule of when you work and how you build your clientele. All of that is completely on us, and it's very liberating. It can be exhausting, but liberating at the same time when you know that, hey, I can prioritize my kids' schedules, activities, and their needs, and then fit work around it too. So you can do 15 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours, whatever amount of work you want to do to hit your goals, you can do it. And I think that's why a lot of women in general are drawn to real estate, because it is the perfect work-life balance that's out there. I think.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It is. It's a great work-life balance. But I think the key is that you need somebody to show you the ropes.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
people jump out here and drown.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, they just jump out and drown,
Yep.
you know, and it's, so the system's broken. They're not telling the truth when they tell you to get into it. They don't tell you what the work is, but you can get the resources, you can get a coach, you can get the training, you can find people that you connect with, find the mentors and the mentees and people who are willing to transfer the information. And I've been telling people throughout this group of podcasts that listen, you know, for me, it's not about just like, I'm not trying to just pull people in to get them in to take a look. The goal right now is really truly to become that coach, because for sure, guaranteed, I ain't gonna be doing it for the next 30 years. I done put 30 years in, right?
Right.
At some point, this information needs to be transferred.
Yeah.
So I'm telling people, you gotta, you have an opportunity right now to deal with, as far as myself, as far as I'm concerned, to deal with me directly while I'm in the business, and I'm not just writing a book for you to read. I'm not just pulling out a software program for you to go through.
Yep.
This is real life. I'm still in the business, still working it. And even if people like Coldwell Banker's got 4,000 agents, right? They can stay at Coldwell Banker and still get the coaching. And if not me, then definitely somebody, because that coach could change the trajectory of your, it could be, the difference whether or not you staying in the business.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're a real estate agent at. If you want to really make top dollar and be super successful, and have whatever lifestyle that you're dreaming of, you want to have a coach involved in your career at some point in your life. You want to be seeing what people are doing in your area. Find out who the top performing agents are. Interview different brokerages. See what people are doing. See is it a you problem or is it a brokerage problem? See why are you not hitting your goals? So definitely look into that. And I just want to say, just be purposeful, be intentional
Yeah, girl.
about what you're trying to do and who you're trying to do it for. Because if you have no direction, no why, you're going to be like the 90% of agents who end up quitting after the first year.
90%.
Yep.
We want to flip that on its head.
Yep.
We want to go from 90% failure to 10% success, and flip it and go 90% success and 10% failure. And it is possible. Obviously, we don't have that many houses, but it is possible for the group of people that work together, that come up with their plan, that use the proper strategies, that get the coaching, the support. They can really make a really fabulous life. You said it, the perfect life, right?
Yeah.
Perfect work-life balance.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. What else you got before we go?
I think that's pretty much it.
Is that pretty much it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, y'all. I want to thank Aba because she's busy. You know, she's a mompreneur, entrepreneur, real estate, you know, gal with $1 million worth of real estate plus, $1 million plus. So we're so excited. I'm so glad to be on this journey with her. I feel, you know, like she's one of my kids. I honestly, her mama will tell you that. I feel very responsible for making sure that, you know, she sees the things that she's going to receive. She can envision it and make it happen. I know she's going to be one for the record books. She will be sharing her information. She's so giving too. Yeah, you guys can reach out to her.
Yep, she's not on social media. You guys can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Real Estate with Aba. That's ABA. Very simple. Or you can follow me on Facebook. That's Aba the Realtor. And I am a real estate agent in Columbus, Ohio. There's 2 of us, but I'm the one you're looking for.
All right, then. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Theresa Barron for you. I am here to educate, inspire, and activate. And this is the Real Tea Talk.